breaking and entering, drunk and disorderly, law and order. A former prosecutor and a defence barrister, not your usual pairing. And the result? Conversations about crime and punishment that are guaranteed to get you thinking.
Welcome to Justice Matters, a weekly podcast with Lizzie Green and Jay Merchant. Our episodes are every Monday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow us on Instagram at Justice Matters Pod for clips. Enjoy the episode. This episode deals with race and other discriminatory matters. Discretion is advised. Well, good morning, Liz.
Good morning, Jay.
How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
Yeah, good. There's no snow on the ground. And I'll keep saying that too.
I've never seen snow.
Serious?
Never.
Wow.
I know. I'm definitely a beach person. I like the sun.
Well, I do too. That's why I'm over here instead of back in Canada.
Yeah.
Hey, today I want to talk about an actor. So tell me, have you watched the movie Mighty Ducks?
Yes, a long time ago.
You know, the ice hockey.
Is that Emilio Estevez?
Yeah, it was that movie.
Yeah.
And how about the TV show Empire? Does that ring a bell?
I mean, I know it, but I never watched it.
Yeah, it was musician type.
I'm pretty sure at that point I was having all of my children. And
well, it wasn't that, I mean, I don't know the age of your children, but it wasn't that long ago. So, and the reason why I bring it up is because one of the actors in it is Jussie Smollett.
Right.
All right. And you can Google image him or what have you. But there was a shroud of controversy surrounding him. Okay. And at the beginning in 2019, what transpired was, and arguably I fell victim to thinking that this was something that was ridiculously unfair and discriminatory.
Okay.
So he's an actor. He's in a big TV show.
So doing well.
Doing very well.
Yes.
And on the 22nd of January, 2019, what transpired was he received a letter on set of the Empire television show. Mm-hmm. And it included a photo. And I encourage the viewers and the listeners, and I'll show you just here. But he received this ambiguous letter that had, you know, those, you see them in the movies where they cut little letters out of magazines and stuff and then glue it in on that. And then he received one of them. And it had racial overtones. It had discriminatory overtones because he's in his 20s. He's black. He's homosexual.
Okay.
And so he received this letter. And on the letter, it had MAGA, which is linked to Make America Great Again, and Donald Trump.
And everything that goes with that.
And everything that goes with that. So there's already the stigma of MAGA, something with respect to those that support Donald Trump and the movement.
So you would think something problematic for
Mr. Smollett receiving this. The letter said, you will die, black fag, and had a gun pointed at some sort of drawing. So this is quite distressing.
Yeah,
so
what is wrong with people?
I know. And so somebody sent this to him on the set of Empire.
Okay.
And so can you imagine receiving something quite like this? It would be distressing.
Yes.
It would be distressing.
And like not just distressing to be upset, but also you'd be scared because the picture has, well, I'm guessing that's a gun.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
No, so it is distressing. I encourage the listeners and the viewers to just Google image it and you'll see it. It looks like something a child would do, but at the same token, the language is definitely not childlike.
No.
So this was on the 22nd of January, 2019. So there were some reports of it in the media and it was gaining a little bit of attention.
Did he tell the police?
He did, yes. They didn't link it back to anyone at that point.
Right.
Okay. So then what happens is on the 29th of January, 2019, there was another incident. So a week later, there was another incident. And it was a case that, and I should point out that this is in Chicago. And what happened was, and I'm trying to think, I'll give you the sanitized version first, just because that's how everybody saw it before.
How it unfolded.
So what happened is Smollett in the middle of winter, it's cold in Chicago in the winter, in the evening, in the early hours of the evening, went to Subway from his apartment complex.
Do you mean the Subway or to the
No,
restaurant?
the restaurant,
Okay.
which I didn't even know was open 24 hours. But at 1 a.m., he decided to go for a Subway sandwich.
Hungry.
Yes. Because he said he came back from a flight from New York and was hungry after the flight. There was delays. So what else do? You go to Subway and grab a sandwich.
Sure.
All right. And so it was on the way back from the Subway sandwich shop that he could hear some yelling and saw two figures. And apparently...
Sorry, is he walking?
He's walking back, yeah.
Okay.
Because he's in an apartment complex downtown Chicago.
Okay.
So you can just walk everywhere in the middle of winter.
Freezing.
It's cold.
Yes.
And so he is approached by two males, and the males are screaming what would be considered racist and homophobic. You know, this is MAGA country,
Right.
you fag, or something like that.
Oh.
Okay. So not very polite, not this is MAGA country.
And were they white?
Now, we'll come back to that.
Okay.
All right. So from there, he was punched in the face.
Wow.
And put up a little bit of a fight. What the allegation was is that these two men put a noose around his neck. All right. So a noose around his neck and poured bleach all over him.
Oh my God.
Yes. So horrible for any victim to be put through that.
Does that burn your skin?
That I don't know. I mean,
that would be horrible.
I try to avoid bleach. But
just out on the street, this happened.
Just out on the street, a random attack. And so what we have is this, first of all, this letter, and then this random physical verbal assault on the streets of Chicago.
So he's being targeted,
He's being targeted.
Yeah.
So he goes back to his apartment. He calls his manager. And
his manager?
Yep. He calls his manager.
Not the police.
Well, it took him 30 to 40 minutes to contact police.
Really?
Yes.
Had he showered by that point?
No, because police arrived, and you can actually watch the police body-worn camera footage on YouTube, and I encourage you to have a look at it. All right? Because when police arrived, they found him in his kitchen 30 to 40 minutes later.
Eating the Subway?
With the noose still around his neck.
What?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. The noose was still around his neck.
Like a tie? Like it wasn't tight?
No, it wasn't tight, but he just kept it on there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Was he upset?
Oh, he was putting on a show. He was going to get the Academy Award at that stage. But no, he was upset. Sorry, I went on a bit of a tangent there. But he was concerned. He was upset. He was, distraught. They talked about his race. They talked about MAGA country. They talked about his sexuality out on the street. And then they physically assaulted him.
Yeah. So you would expect him to be not thinking straight, perhaps, which is maybe why the noose was on.
Yeah.
That's my thought.
Let's go with that. So the noose was still on. The Subway sandwich was still in the shot. And he gives this account to police. So the police start an investigation because this, on the face of it, is a hate crime. This is a targeted hate crime that started with, on the face of it, that letter that was sent to the Empire Studio, and then this physical assault on a well-known actor downtown Chicago. The media picks up on it.
Of course.
Okay. We have...
Were they sympathetic to him?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
And I was too when I first heard of it. This was a hate crime, and he was black, and he told police that they were two white individuals.
Right.
Okay, this is MAGA country.
Yes.
And they were white individuals. Now, there were media reports, stars were tweeting, The View, everyone under the sun with any sort of influence came out, including Nancy Pelosi, including Donald Trump,
Oh,
All of these people came out in support of him, as you would expect if a hate crime happened.
Donald Trump was in support of him.
Yeah, there was something. He tweeted something. It was probably huge. But
That's crazy.
so everybody's supporting him, and you can understand why.
Well, you would hope for that.
Yes.
With a hate crime. I mean, we've seen before these types of situations where there's been a hate crime and there hasn't been the right reaction. So to have this kind of support for a victim like that is definitely where you would hope America was going.
Yes. No, I agree 100%. And it's this emotive, visceral reaction to something like this happening to this day. I mean, a noose has huge importance and significance in the United States and all over in terms of race. And here you have two white individuals, a letter, that are striking at the core of what racism is.
Yes.
And enlivening it today and at that point, which was 2019.
Yeah.
And so it's a very heated division on this racial concept.
One little thing I'm thinking
Yeah.
is that, these types of assaults probably happen more than we like to think, but because he's famous, he got all of that attention. Like, I suppose you do wonder what victims out there don't get that kind of support.
Oh, they don't.
Yeah.
They don't, because nobody knows them
That's
except
right.
their isolated
Not to
communities.
take away
No.
from him.
No, absolutely. I mean, I can't imagine going through anything quite like that. But what transpired after started to raise some red flags with this.
Right.
Okay. Now, your reaction to the noose was the same reaction that I had.
Yes.
That it was still on 30 to 40 minutes after. But I overlooked that for the same fact you did, that, well, maybe he's just in shock. Maybe he was, I don't know the extent of the actual assault that transpired. We know he was
Yes.
punched. There was some sort of scrape or something. So they started an investigation in on all of this. And they found the following pieces of evidence.
Okay.
All right. They found surveillance footage inconsistencies. They found that after leaving Subway, being attacked, he actually went into a Lowe's store with the noose. So he went into a public store with the noose still around his neck.
Hang on. What are all of these shops open at 1 a.m.?
I know. It's like, our shops over here close at like 6 p.m. Everything is open all night long over there.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was also an investigation.
Hold on. Sorry.
Yes.
So he went into a department type store with the noose.
Yes.
And the bleach
Yes. After all this happened.
to buy something.
I don't know why he did it, but the fact that he did it is
Did he
problematic.
talk to anybody?
That I couldn't tell from the footage. I mean, it's just CCTV
Yeah, well, that's
footage.
very odd.
Yeah. So we've got some odd behavior.
Mm.
Then what also they found in the course of this investigation is they actually found the two individuals that were party to the assault.
Oh.
They were the Osendero brothers. Now, they're American, but they're not white. They're black.
Okay.
They were originally from Nigeria. And then they started some more investigations.
But hold on.
Yes.
So they found these two people who don't match the description.
That's right.
But so how did they find them? Like what?
CCTV footage, movements of the people on the street.
So they assaulted him?
Yes,
They did?
they did.
Okay.
But what they also found is that the Osendero brothers who assaulted Smollett, one of them actually worked on the TV show Empire.
Wow.
And it gets even better. It was the case that they found a check for $3,500 made out by Smollett to the Osendero brother,
Right.
and he contracted them to assault him on the streets of Chicago.
Stop it.
Yes. So
For publicity.
for publicity,
Oh
all right.
my goodness.
Now, it was a case, I mean, he was a big star, but he wasn't the biggest star on the show. And so the Chicago police started changing their tune, because if you think about it, you had The View, you had everyone come out and support,
Yes.
as you would expect.
Yes.
But as soon as all of this transpired, the Chicago police took a different approach.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So in part of the investigation found that in 2007, he pled guilty. This is Smollett. So years prior to being on this hit television show, he pled guilty, or no contest, I should say, to lying to law enforcement and over a DUI charge. So that's driving under the influence. That's your impaired driving.
What he lied that he was sober?
No, he gave the name of his brother. And so
that's a no-no.
Yes. So that, coupled with the fact that we have the CCTV footage, the evidence of him going into a store and then going back home and then contacting police 30 minutes after. But in the meantime, the first call was to the manager. We have found the actual perpetrators of the assault, the Osendero brothers. They made a confession that he approached them and paid them for the attack. There were text messages, phone records showing that he contacted, this is Smollett, contacting the brothers before and after the attack.
Oh my goodness.
They located the CCTV footage of the Osendero brothers going into the hardware store to buy the ski masks, a red hat. You know, this is MAGA country.
Yes.
And before the incident. And then we have this letter that he received.
Okay, can we come back to the letter?
Sure.
So, okay. I have often said that criminals are not always the smartest people, and that's why they get caught.
Yes.
But this is stupidity of an extreme magnitude. Like, what did he think was going to happen? CCTV footage is everywhere. Like,
that's right.
And so my question is, did the brothers put the noose on him?
Yeah, I think they did.
And poured the bleach on him?
Yep.
So he's paid them to actually do these pretty serious things to him.
The assault was staged. There was, some scripting of it. Make sure you allow me to make a big scene and make sure that I can defend myself.
But so why would he then say that it was two white people when clearly that's going to be the first thing that can be disproved?
Well, I'm not sure if he thought that the cameras would be able to pick up the color of their skin.
Anyone who watches TV knows they can magnify everything.
But what it does strike at is this concept of racism that is and has been prevalent in the United States.
So he should have paid white people.
Well, he blamed the white people, right? And that is why I think you had this public outcry of support, is because you've got a young black gay man that has been told it's MAGA country and attacked by two white people.
Well, I know, but my thing is, if you're going to go to all of that trouble,
do it proper.
Get two white people.
Yeah.
Pay two white people to do it so that there's some credibility to your story.
Well, yeah. No, I'm with you on that. So the Chicago police, actually, in one of the rarest shows of anger and frustration, because if you think of the hundreds of years of racism in the United States, it is intense. I mean, I love going to the South. I love Mississippi, Louisiana, but you can still see some of the remnants of division there. And so what you have here is striking at the core of that. And we don't fully understand it.
No.
We weren't there. We aren't there. But certainly we can sympathize.
You were going to come back to the letter.
Yes. So we had this letter, and then a week later we had this assault, and Chicago police were on the prowl, and they were pissed, and rightfully so. I should indicate that the superintendent was also black, and I haven't seen, you should watch his clip on YouTube of the press conference, because this was an unprecedented press conference.
After he found out the truth.
That's right.
Okay.
All right. So this, and I'm going to name him because he's awesome. Police Superintendent Eddie Johnson, he held this police briefing after this transpired, and he was very emotional in this police press release that's captured on television. But he talked about Empire actor Jussie Smollett took advantage of the pain and anger of racism to promote his career. So the letter all started, and I'll come back to more, but the letter all started because Smollett was not happy with his contract. For all of this was in an effort because his contract wasn't as high as he wanted it to be.
So greed.
Greed. Money and greed. So he came out and said that. And then he brings up this letter and says less than a week before the attack, he received a racist, homophobic letter containing white powder. So there was white powder as well in the letter.
Drugs?
Well, no. Remember, that anthrax, and people would mail that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I've got an interesting story about that because I received a letter at Bond a while back. So we'll come back to that. Remind me at the end.
Okay.
But it contained white powder at the Fox studio. Now, he said, and this is Police Superintendent Johnson, he said that when the false letter didn't work, Smollett paid $3,500 to the Osendero brothers, two brothers that have connections to Empire, the television show, to stage an attack. Johnson said he helped, this is Smollett, drag Chicago's reputation through the mud. The Osendero brothers confessed, and they said that the $3,500, which is not a lot of money if you're going to be staging a hoax and a racial, it's a crime.
Yes.
Between the two of them, and they confessed that they split the money between the two of them. Now, the superintendent also said that there was phone records, as I said, that showed Smollett spoke to them an hour or so before the incident and after. And
I guess I'm also just wondering, like you said, the letter didn't work.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it wasn't gaining enough attention.
But
so we have to ramp it up, Liz.
Yeah, I understand that. But why would him being threatened, say, or, attacked in that way, why would that translate to more money for his role in a TV show?
Sympathy and profile. And you think about this, if this actually happened and he was a victim of something so heinous and
he deserves
reprehensible,
higher pay.
Well, no, but the viewership would have been through the roof because they support him and they support what he represents and his message against racism and every other sort of discrimination, and that he's a victim, Liz. And so watch our television show and then, by the way, pay me some more money.
That's disgusting to have used that kind of manipulation when there are so many real victims out there who get nothing. And he's just doing it for greed. And
it's clearly targeted. This is MAGA country. This is a noose around a young black man by two white men.
It's disgusting.
It is. Now, police also said that it was a case that the brothers may have punched him a little bit, but the scratches on his face were self-inflicted.
Oh, my God.
And in amongst it all, it took a while to conduct this investigation, and police executed over 50 search warrants. So these are police officers taken off a very busy city street to deal with what is a hoax when there are victims that need that police response that aren't getting it.
Did they bill him?
We'll get to that.
Oh, good. Okay.
So 50 search warrants, subpoenas, and interviews, everything. Smollett went on Good Morning America, all these TV shows. We've got to get that popularity up after this.
Would they all have been paid spots, do you reckon?
I suspect, maybe. I'm not sure.
He probably cleaned up.
Well, I think it was more so on this profile. He's a victim, and he's going to stand up for America. And it painted, this is the superintendent's word, it painted the city that we all love and work hard in a negative connotation, which is extremely true.
Yeah.
So we've got this all transpiring. The city's pissed. His followers are now starting to raise questions. I mean, think about it. The View, all of these media outlets, the stars,
Yes.
like the stars that came out and
in support
on Twitter. And I can remember it vividly, started becoming a little bit more silent.
Well, and probably
more silent.
Pretty pissed off.
Yeah. So what happened after that is he was arrested and charged.
Really?
Yeah. This is one of the few examples that I can think of where somebody who has made and this is next level false and vexatious.
Very.
But very rarely do we see any recourse for somebody making a false and vexatious complaint to police. And this is one example where police, and thankfully so, we need to see more of it, but where police just said enough is enough. We're charging him.
So I'm smiling because
I know you want to talk about that.
No, I'm smiling because he did all of this to raise his profile.
Yes.
And it's because he had that profile. I imagine that he got charged.
Oh, perhaps.
So the irony is very sweet.
Yes, but it's not over.
Oh, okay.
All right. So he was charged with disorderly conduct for filing a false police report. Keep in mind, he did one previously to police. So this isn't the first time.
Yes.
And he was indicted on 16 felony counts.
16?
16.
How did they get to 16?
I'm not sure, but there was a lot.
They do love to have a lot of charges.
Well, look, they wanted to send a message that if somebody is going to create this much chaos and havoc and bring up so much turmoil and racial and discriminatory overtones, that not in Chicago.
Did he plead guilty?
Oh, no, he was not. He pled. This is all a lie. This is all a ruse. This happened to me.
Oh, my God.
All right.
He's deluded.
And he's deluded and almost as diluted as the liquid that was poured over him. But can I just say that now I'm starting to think of, all right, the noose makes sense. Why is it that somebody 30 minutes after an attack still has the loose noose around his neck? That just doesn't make sense. With so much anger and hatred towards racism in the United States, that thing would have been ripped off any other normal person.
Yes.
And yet he kept it on for the show, for the police. All right. So when all this transpired, what we had was very serious charges. The elected district attorney at the time, and I am going to name her name is Kim Foxx. She's no longer the elected district attorney in the matter. Had ties in politics because it is elections down there. And there was links to the Obamas and quite a few links to high profile people.
Right.
So what happened is that in amongst this all happening and the media and everything, the district attorney decided to drop all the charges in exchange for community service and forfeiture of a $10,000 bond.
Wow.
So there was no need to apologize. There was no need to accept what had transpired or show any sort of remorse.
Gosh.
Now, everyone was up in arms over this. The mayor of Chicago called it a whitewash of justice, that the district attorney of that city would even entertain such a deal.
Yes.
And so it was ridiculously opposed, and Kim Foxx, rightly so, was criticized. And I was a keyboard warrior. I went to town on her.
Did you?
Absolutely. This just infuriated me. And so what we had then was the community, and Chicago sued him for $130,000 for the actual
malicious.
The investigative side of things.
Yeah.
But that wasn't really the issue, because there was this public outcry against Kim Foxx's decision, and rightly so. And what they ended up doing was appointing a special prosecutor to look at recommencing proceedings.
So had she provided any kind of reasoning for doing that?
Yeah, I mean, she cited the fact that if this was anyone else other than Jussie Smollett, that there would be some sort of diversionary option available to them. But on this scale and this magnitude of the racial and discriminatory and the lengths that he went to, it was an absolute disaster of a decision on her part.
I think obviously his fame did play a part, but we're looking at a pretty serious example of that kind of conduct. Like when we think about accepting a plea to a lesser charge here from a prosecution perspective, the threshold that the DPP has to bear in mind is if you accept a plea to a lesser charge, does it still reflect the criminality of the conduct?
Absolutely.
Because that's where justice has to be seen to be served.
Yes.
So I think if you apply that test to her decision, putting aside whether he's famous or not, the conduct itself needs
message needs to be sent.
That's right.
If you look at what the United States has went through in terms of that evolution of blacks and whites and where we are today, this just set it back hundreds of years.
So what did the special prosecutor do?
The special prosecutor took the position of view and took the position of the impact on real victims and recommenced proceedings.
Good.
On 6 counts of disorderly conduct. Now, he pled not guilty. He didn't do it. He's the real victim here, Liz. He's the real victim here. He
doubled down all right, didn't he?
Sure did. And he was convicted, and he was sentenced to 150 days in jail, 30 months probation, and ordered to pay $120,000 restitution along with the $25,000 fine.
Wow.
As he was taken into the cells, he went on a rant about, I'm not suicidal. So he was putting on a show and still putting on a show even till he went into the cells.
But hold on, what's the point of saying I'm not suicidal?
I don't know. It was to the case that if something were to happen to him in prison, he didn't do it.
Oh, he didn't do it.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
I was like, I'm not suicidal. Good. We don't need to worry about
you. All right. But what then happened was there was this problem, and it is a real problem if you think about it. You had an elected district attorney make a conscious decision to null charges, and then they were recommenced, and whether or not that was right or wrong in the eyes of the law.
Well, okay.
Think about it. You null charges, and then something happens, and then you recommence proceedings.
Which is fine.
Well, and that was one of the arguments, because it's not the case that it was put before the jury yet. So when does this double jeopardy type scenario attach itself?
Well, if it's the same kind of nollie that we have,
yes,
it says the Crown will no longer proceed on this indictment.
Yes.
Whichever indictment is before the court, but it's not a verdict. So it's not a finding of guilt or innocence. And so if the Crown wish to recommence, they have to present a fresh indictment. They can't recycle that one.
Right.
But the charges are still open to be prosecuted. There's absolutely no abusive process there.
And that was one angle. All right. And just to be clear, you're absolutely correct. In Chicago, a nulle is not a final disposition because there was no jury impaneled or sworn, so it's not as if double jeopardy would have attached itself.
Nope.
But the Supreme Court in the state of Illinois said something differently.
What?
They talked about the fact that there's a bigger public policy. There's a bigger public policy problem here. And that is that there was a prosecution agreement. It was accepted by somebody who was an alleged offender or whatnot, and that the core principle that court, which was the Supreme Court in 2024, so not long ago, had to consider was whether or not there is honor and whether or not there should be bound to these agreements. It was a conscious decision, and due process and fundamental fairness is what the court had to look at. And they said that when this agreement was made, it was the forfeiture of the $10,000 bond, which for somebody making hundreds of thousands of dollars an episode
nothing.
is a walk in the park compared to you or me or anybody else in Lakeside, and the community service was the consideration to enforce the agreement. The Supreme Court further said that there are public policy implications, and integrity to the justice system would want this barring of, all right, you've got a prosecution making a decision to withdraw charges for the $10,000 bond or the community service, and then they renege on that. Well, then what does that say in terms of fairness and public policy? It says it's fundamentally unfair, and this offends the basic notion of due process. It would scare every defendant who entered into an agreement for a disposition in a matter moving forward, and it sets the wrong message. Clear precedents should be set, and in the court, they overturned the conviction.
Okay, I have
a
couple of things. No, that's all right. So this is why I think we don't have plea bargaining in Australia the way they do in the US or in Canada.
That's right.
And I think that is good that we don't. But two things from that. So if someone enters a plea of guilt, there is the ability to vacate that plea if you can persuade the court that that's
you make
fair.
an application.
So why can't it be also done in reverse? Like you offer the plea bargain, but then good reason comes forward why that should be vacated. I think if you can do it for the plea of guilt, you should be able to do it for, an acceptance of a lesser plea. Like, I think that has to have parity.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
Because otherwise you get this kind of scenario, but also Karla Homolka, the Ken and Barbie killer.
Yep.
Are you familiar with that
case?
I'm
very familiar. She's walking the streets right now, and she should never have stepped out of prison.
Because she had a plea bargain, and they had evidence come out after that plea bargain was signed that was so convincing.
It was damning. She should never have left prison. She is a horrible person.
And so that is injustice there, that plea bargain had to be upheld. Same as this. Like, why can't there be case-by-case scenarios where, okay, one prosecutor's made a plea bargain, but for whatever reason there is an argument why that should be vacated?
Yeah, and I see your point because, and I think a lot of people would think the same, but I keep coming back. We can talk about Karla Homolka and this matter. A decision was made, conscious decision, to dispose of a matter, and they had the lawful authority, whether it was right or wrong, and it was extremely wrong to make that decision. But there would be this, and unfortunately, I agree with the Supreme Court of Illinois in saying that if a prosecutor makes a decision, they are bound by it unless something so grotesque is a result of it or new evidence. Like that Homolka one was a disaster. But my opinion on this matter is that Jussie Smollett should have served all of the 150 days and that a decision should never have been entertained in the first place. Kim Fox, you should hold your head in shame for even entertaining a plea agreement or a nullie on the fact of a $10,000 bond from somebody who's making hundreds of thousands of dollars, trying to raise up and drum up support for racial and discrimination basis because he's not getting paid. That is the true problem with this matter, is that prosecutor felt like that was the best way to dispose of it.
Yeah, it's like I can't agree with that someone who has the authority to accept a plea bargain, then that has to be irrevocable and forever binding, because people are human. They're going to make mistakes. Like, you have to have that ability to argue a position for why that mistake should not stand.
Yeah, I mean, he looked at, I mean, but it happens every day, Liz. So for instance, if I'm in court on a breach of domestic violence and there is very serious injuries to that, or a minor assault is the charge that they prefer, but there's very serious injuries, I'm taking that first charge before they then conjure up a grievous bodily harm charge to avoid having to look at an indictment down the track that says something more serious. Do you know what I'm saying?
I do.
Like, it was a decision that he made. He had support by the district attorney. He didn't have to say that it was all false for whatever reason. Just goes to show you how shitty that decision was in that agreement. He didn't have to accept any responsibility. And this is what infuriated everyone in Chicago, is that this elected district attorney made this decision. Police weren't consulted.
Ooh.
And if they were, it would have been a resounding no.
Yes.
Don't even entertain it, because he's drudging up. The way that police superintendent spoke on television is something that I haven't seen since clips from the 1960s.
Wow.
When all of this was transpiring.
So he escaped that more serious.
Yeah, they
court.
reversed the conviction, and he is walking in the community now. I don't know if he's got any gigs, and I hope he doesn't.
Did he get fired from Empire?
Oh yeah, no, they skidded him once all of this came to light.
That's a little bit of justice.
Yeah, it is. But I just think that the lengths that he went to with respect to the initial letter in 2019 to staging this attack, to bring up elements that he knew would provoke a visceral reaction from a country of 350 million people. It's disgusting.
Disgusting.
And I hope he never works again. But this isn't the only time where we've had a few hoaxes involving race. And there's been a few examples. So, for instance, in 1987, there was an African-American teenager who was 15 years old, and her name was Tawana Brawley, Brawley. For anyone listening, can right-click and Google. But she was found, this 15-year-old girl was found in a trash bag covered in feces after being missing from her home in New York for 4 days. Now, she told police that she had been abducted and raped by 4 white men.
Oh, my God.
And again, the white portion of it stood out to everyone because it was systemic racism in New York at the time. This was in the 80s. And so a grand jury came back and concluded that she had fabricated her story and deliberately set things up to make it look like she had been assaulted.
Okay, but so we had the CCTV footage in the Smollett
Yes,
case.
It was at nighttime, though.
Did they prove she'd lied in that case?
Oh, yeah, they proved that she had lied in this case, yes. Then we had Susan Smith, 1994. This was the mother that drowned her 2 kids in the back of a sedan in a lake. I don't know if you remember that one or not, but she drowned her sons by putting them in a car and rolling it into John D. Lake. Now, she called police and stated that an armed black man had hijacked her car with her 2 sons inside. And so we've got examples of racism being utilized to invoke a level of empathy. Jodi Arias, I don't know if you're familiar with that case.
Yeah.
Just another example where she killed her boyfriend, Travis Alexander, and blamed it on a racial group. So it's not the only time, but it is nice to see, despite the fact that the Supreme Court of Illinois has reversed the conviction, that he was charged and was going to be held accountable for creating this false narrative.
And he was held accountable in the public.
Oh, I hope so.
Well,
he spent 6 days in prison, I should say. So there was a little bit because he was appealing, naturally.
I wouldn't want to spend even 1 day in prison.
No. I've been to Arthur Gorey and such here. So
goodness gracious.
Yeah. So That's the Smollett matter. Now, I wanted to tell you a story before remember I was telling you about the envelope. So I was naive. I checked my mail, and I used to be a very boisterous prosecutor back in the day, and I have no doubt it was somebody from those days, over boisterous, and I've mellowed out. But
Right.
at one point, I received a letter, and it was unmarked, and I was like, well, whatever, I'll just open it. It could be somebody from faculty or staff or something. And it was a letter that was blank, and there was white powder in it. And originally, I was thinking, well, this must be a joke. And then on the drive back, there was a media report of anthrax in the United States. And I immediately just
Freaked out.
I freaked out, hey, because I wasn't sure what that white powder was. It was unmarked in an envelope, sealed, and no indication
What
whatsoever.
was it?
I don't know. I opened it. I just threw it in the trash. I didn't think anything of it
Oh my gosh.
until my drive home when
That's
I heard a media
crazy.
report about anthrax.
Well, I'm glad you're still with us.
Yeah. So whoever sent that, don't do it again.
No one do it again.
Yeah. Well, that's the Smollett matter.
Oh, I did not know anything about that. So that was very interesting. Little unsatisfying in outcome, but
Yes.
still, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for listening to the episode. If you enjoyed it, please rate and review the podcast. If you're interested in clips, check out @Justice Matters Pod on TikTok and Instagram.